saw that. Brick killed a guy.
I'll be honest, initially I had no intention of going to see the Mario movie in theaters. I'm not a massive Mario fan and I don't have kids, so why bother when I could just wait until it's available to stream? But then I saw the opening weekend critic versus audience score. That discrepancy, along with the star-studded cast and the fact that I have a YouTube channel, was enough to get me to the theater, alone, on a Monday night to see the Super Mario Bros. Movie. So who was right, the critics who hated it or the fans who loved it? Well, in my opinion, it was actually pretty great. And the more I digested it, the more I liked it. You have to review these movies with their intentions in mind. Mario is a kids movie, and a good kids movie has enough flashy visuals and high-paced scenes to engage kids, combined with some other value to engage parents. Mario has top-notch animations and enough fan service to bring a tear to your eye. If you're a gamer with any amount of experience in the Mario franchise and have kids, this is the perfect movie to go and see. And I think that's the exact intention of it, which means they've done a fantastic job.
Oh look, it's a turtle.
What are you doing?
Oh.
You just killed my turtle!
One thing I saw echoed in multiple reviews of the Mario movie was that it relied too much on the aforementioned fan service, that it didn't do enough to develop the plot, which was admittedly very shallow. Wendy Ide says, a frantic Easter egg hunt of a film that does the bare minimum to please its loyal existing fan base. Kenneth R. Moorfield says, I wasn't expecting Pixar, but the heroes end where they started, not having been transformed by their experiences or learning anything from them. My answer to these comments are, what did you expect? This isn't Shawshank Redemption, it's Super Mario. It's a kids movie. And nobody was ever playing Mario for its deep lore and character arcs. The original story of Mario is a plumber saving a princess from a turtle. That's pretty much it. Good guys are good and bad guys are bad.
They're brothers. They're plumbers.
I didn't expect much from the story because Mario has no plot. None of it makes any sense. All the Mario movie had to do was make it make enough sense to slide a narrative into it. And it did that. It didn't ask too many questions or take itself too seriously. It was barely grounded in reality with a shallow plot. But again, I don't know who was expecting the Mario movie to have some groundbreaking story attached to it. It's for kids and parents who played Mario video games growing up. They weren't trying to blow anyone away with the story.
Give me the mushrooms.
This feedback led me to check out the Rotten Tomatoes reviews for a movie series that was advertised in the previews when I went to the theater, Trolls. Now, I've never seen Trolls. It could have some M. Night Shyamalan twists in there, but I doubt it, and the 75% makes me think that the reviewers rated this one in the context of what it was, a kids movie. So I don't really understand how they could rate Mario so low. Mario characters are a blank canvas. You can make them jump on shit, you can make them race, you can make them play soccer, you can make them beat each other up. That's what's so great about this franchise. And the movie did those characters and those video games justice about as well as you can. The voice acting was great, the visuals were fantastic, and the nostalgia was everything I could have asked for. Truly, what more do you want from Super Mario Bros.?
First, let's talk about the culture war and why the story matters, and then I'll talk to you in depth about the movie.
A perfect example of what this movie does right is how it handles Chris Pratt not doing the Mario voice, which a lot of people were worried about when the first trailer came out. The brothers have a commercial where they use the voices in the very beginning. They then address that this isn't how they talk and move on while sprinkling in references to other taglines throughout the movie. It's a great way to get out of it without totally ignoring one of the only established details from the source material. And honestly, I think it was probably the right choice to not do the voices the whole time. It could have gotten super annoying and would have come with this unshakable goofiness that the movie didn't really need.
It's a me, a Mario. That's not the voice. You'll have to wait to hear the voice.
On the topic of voice acting, the roster was one of the main reasons I even went to see this movie in the first place. Chris Pratt, Charlie Day, Seth Rogen, Jack Black, Keegan-Michael Key, Fred Armisen, Anna Taylor-Joy, and almost all of them did a great job. I say almost because there were a couple issues I'll touch on in a minute. It really felt like this movie played into the strengths of some of its actors, specifically Jack Black and Seth Rogen. Jack Black's Bowser was the best character in the movie, and once I saw it, the casting decision felt like a necessity. His silly Peach song was perfectly Jack Black, and they used the Seth Rogen laugh tastefully at least once in there. Things like that made me feel as though there was a reason to have these actors playing these characters, apart from the names associated with them. But I did have a couple issues with the voice acting. First, I thought Charlie Day was entirely wasted. Unlike Donkey Kong and Bowser, it felt like Luigi could have been voiced by anyone. Not that Charlie Day did a bad job or anything, it just wasn't what I had hoped to see from the person who was probably my favorite actor in the movie. I'm a massive Sunny fan, so I was hoping, and borderline expecting, Charlie to steal the show. He didn't, but that's a small complaint in the totality of the film.
Okay, well, filibuster.
More striking to me was Fred Armisen as Cranky Kong. Cranky Kong was probably the worst part of the movie, and that surprised the hell out of me. I love Portlandia and most everything else I see Fred Armisen in. I feel like they just didn't give him enough to work with here. I didn't really like the voice, and the character said nothing funny. Worse, he had jokes that fell flat. I'm a Fred Armisen apologist though. I think this was more about the writing than his performance.
Because what's wrong with a little bit of this? You know?
Since I'm on the topic of my complaints, I might as well add that I thought Donkey Kong was a dick to Mario for a little too long. It was the classic, I don't like this guy to start with, but we'll eventually become friends dynamic. And I thought the first part of that bit lasted too long. We never really even saw them become friends, they just worked together without really ever getting along. It felt like they could have dropped that a little earlier, probably when they got swallowed by the eel.
I would throw some barrels at some Italians.
The best thing I can say about the Super Mario Bros. Movie is that it made me realize how much of a Mario fan I actually am. Like I said in the beginning, I didn't really consider myself a huge Mario fan going into this. I haven't been a Nintendo gamer in a long time. I have a Switch now, but I don't use it much, and the last Nintendo console I owned before that was an N64. And even then, the only single-player Mario Universe game I spent much time on was DK64. But I did put thousands of hours into Super Smash Bros. And the Mario Kart series. And I'm a gamer, so I'm familiar with the iconic Mario titles. With that baseline, it felt like I understood 90% of the references in this movie. I never played Luigi's Mansion, but I got the reference when he was in the woods with his flashlight and tools. And even things that I couldn't completely place in the moment, like Lumily, I was familiar enough with to appreciate. I'm also a sucker for reimagined Mario music, which this movie is filled with. Full orchestras playing video game music during epic action scenes was exactly what I wanted to see from this movie. And when Mario hit the skip on Rainbow Road, it showed me how much the Mario movie appreciates its source material. This isn't The Last of Us. The most important part of Mario will never be its story. It's those small moments that trigger the memories we have of playing these games with our friends and family. That's where the Mario movie succeeded the most, and I think that's exactly what they were attempting to highlight.
Oh, he spiked his controller so hard.
It made me, and I suspect many others, acknowledge how much of an impact the Mario franchise has had on my life. I still don't love the platforming style gameplay that I associate with traditional Mario games, but I do love the franchise as a whole, and this movie illuminated that for me. So how can you say that it did a bad job? How does this movie get 56 when Trolls sits at 75 and the Peanuts movie has 87? Apart from the few minor complaints I mentioned and the omissions of any Wario or Waluigi references, I don't know what more someone could want from a Super Mario Bros. Movie. If you never played a Mario game in your life, sure, you're not gonna like this movie. But if you're even casually aware of the franchise, played games like Mario Kart, Super Smash, or Strikers with your friends, and have kids, I couldn't imagine a better movie to go and see with your family. And doesn't that sound like the exact vibe that the Mario movie was going for? Of course, that's just my take. If you think the critics were right about Mario, let me know what you would have liked to see in the comments. If you made it this far, do me a favor and like the video. Thanks for watching. Stay safe.